You guys ready?
Ready.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the July 19th, 2022 meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. The Moorhead Public Service Commission welcomes and encourages customer input on issues listed on the agenda or of general interest, time and commission permitting. Customers wishing to address the commission for items that are not on the agenda, please fill out the request to speak form located in the back of the room and give it to the administrative assistant in attendance at the meeting prior to speaking. Customers wishing to address the commission regarding a specific agenda item other than the rate hearings will be given an opportunity during the discussion of that item. Each customer will be given 3 minutes to address the commission. We are here to listen. Any follow-up or feedback will be done by email on anything that cannot be resolved this evening. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Daly, to approve the meeting's agenda. Daly?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hendrickson, seconded by Daly, to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Daly?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Customers to be heard or recognitions?
Nothing at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Old business, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, we do have one item to bring up. At our last meeting on June 21st, we were going through the minutes and we noticed that we had a little bit of an issue. We have a motion but no second on one of the items. It was for the Conservation Improvement Plan. You've got some suggested language to rectify that tonight in front of you. If you want to go ahead and read through that and we can
Sure.
finalize that. Attorney Bolger has helped us put that language together.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm reading the language. After reviewing the recording of the June 21st, 2022 regularly scheduled meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission, it was determined that there was not a clear indication that a motion to accept the report on the 2021 Conservation Improvement Program, CIP, and CIP plans for 2022 was ever properly seconded. The motion was made and it was unanimously approved, but appeared to lack a second. To ensure there cannot be a dispute regarding the approval of the motion, legal counsel has recommended that the motion again come before the commission. I will entertain a motion to accept the report on the 2021 Conservation Improvement Program, CIP, and CIP plans for 2022, and that all action taken by Moorhead Public Service pursuant to the CIP plans for 2022 on or subsequent to June 21st, 2022 are ratified and approved. Let the record show that a motion made by, and I entertain a motion at this time.
So moved. Second.
Okay. That Commissioner Paulson and seconded by Commissioner Hendrickson have approved or have made the motion and seconded. Those in favor, Paulson?
Aye.
Daly?
Aye.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, that went well. All right. Any other old business? Seeing none. Reports, City Council? Mr. Hendrickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one thing of note, we had our open house for the 2021 underpass last night, and it was a warm one. But we did cut the ribbon, and service vehicles like the fire department and police, they were the first ones to drive through the underpass, so it's kind of symbolic of we put first responders first, and so it was a good thing. Right now, it's the biggest infrastructure project in Moorhead history until we get to 11th Street, and I think that'll probably top it. But for now, 2021. So it was a great program, a lot of happy people, and that should be open to traffic on Friday, pretty sure. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Public Service Commission, any reports? Seeing none, General Manager's report, Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah, I have a couple items in the packet tonight. Again, we've got our first of our normal 2 notifications from Western Area Power Administration regarding the preliminary drought adder rate notification. Again, we've talked about this a couple times this year due to the fact that they're actually going through a rate process similar to what we would do in the fall of the year. And their drought adder, again, it's looking at potentially 3.44 mils. That hasn't changed from the last time we had that conversation, so we'll be awaiting the final decision on that, which should come September, October timeframe, and we'll provide that back to the board and to the budget work group once that's set, and we'll be doing that next month as well, too. So other than that, there was an article from APPA, or American Public Power Association, regarding supply chain challenges that I have included as well. A letter from Public Power to FEMA. A lot of it was revolving around the southeastern states and the hurricane season that is upon us or approaching, and their concerns with the delays and the needs that they have. Again, this goes to all people in the electric industry, all utilities in the electric industry that are having struggles with supply chain. So it's not just us, it's everybody. But it was a good read, and I figured you'd like to see that as well, too. Finally, I'm going to have Matt Marks come up. He's going to talk about the Missouri River Energy time of use rates and just kind of give you a final report on what that looks like and how it's going to look for us going forward, and we'll go from there.
Matt Marks, project engineer. I believe it was about 6 months ago I had presented a 6-month look at the shadow bills provided by Missouri River Energy for what our rates and what our bill would look like if Missouri River had already implemented these time of use rates. Essentially, just as a reminder, these time of use rates would be adjusting the cost of electricity at different times of the day during the times of the year that we have peaks, so in the winter and the summer, where electricity would be more expensive during the peak times in the evening and in the morning, kind of around the 7 to 8 a.m. and the 4 to 5 p.m. based on people returning home from work, air conditioners running in the heat of the day, or electric heat running in the morning when people wake up, or other appliances and devices being run. By doing the time of use rates, essentially it makes the electricity cheaper during the off-peak times and then more expensive during the peak times. And this encourages MPS and then by extension the standard user to avoid the peak times or to do more of the, consume more of the electricity in the off-peak times to keep the curve of electrical usage more steady and more stable. Which is better overall for the electric system. So we had kind of been given, starting back in July of 2021, on our electric bill, some numbers on a separate page that says, if we already had this in place, here's what your total bill would be this month based on your usage. Now looking at the past 12 months, going all the way up to June of 2022, in the item here, it has in the months of September, October, November, under the time of use rates, MPS would actually be paying less, as well as March, April, and May. So those are kind of the shoulder seasons, and then, or the shoulder months, June, July, and August, and December, January, and February are the peak months. In those months, we would see a higher electric bill. When you take the total of those differences over the 12 months, in this past year, there was actually a savings, or a potential savings. There would have been a savings of $46,000. Missouri River had originally, based on our 2019 numbers, had kind of estimated that over the course of a year, we'd see about a 0.2% increase, a $28,000 increase. And what we saw over this past year was a $46,000, which is about a 0.2% decrease in our total costs. However, that could change year to year. With the estimate being in 2019 and then the actual data that we're looking at being in 2021 and 22, the difference there being is that electric usage has changed some due to the COVID pandemic, but also just these things kind of change year to year. So overall, it's 0.2% difference, whether that's above or below what we're paying. However, it does represent an opportunity for cost savings if we shift usage away from those peak times. And if we look at implementing these time of use rates in the future, once we have AMI in place, that opportunity will be extended to the customers to use more electricity at the off-peak times and less during those peak times. Are there any questions about this?
Madam Chair, thank you. So my only question is, are those peak times kind of set in stone? Or, you know, if we were to go to time of use and in the future, could the peak use times expand?
The peak times that we would be discussing with MRES, those are determined by Missouri River. I believe there's the potential to change that year to year. And then with MPS, if we implement that in the future, we would have to kind of come up with a design basically for our rates, and there would be a way to change those peak times, because with different technologies and things changing year to year, the actual peak times that we see could change, as well as just weather forecasts, things like that could have an impact on when electricity is being used the most and when we want to kind of shift that usage away from.
In your packet, there is a kind of what the set times would be, and they would probably hold those for the year. Maybe they adjust from time to time based on what the hours are, what they're seeing a little bit more. You know, as they get more data on it, they could make some adjustments. But they've done a pretty good look at this and rate study on it to see what's pretty common right now. Again, if you flatline that, it's going to be a little different. So yeah, you could see some changes. But overall, you know, during the summer and winter months, it's midnight to 6 a.m. 6 a.m. to noon is a mid-peak. An on-peak would be noon to 8 p.m., and then 8 p.m. to midnight would be the other portion of the off-peak. So, and then the spring and fall periods that Matt talked about, you know, they're really only going to have 2 peak periods, off-peak and mid-peak. They really don't see a whole lot in that spring and fall time of the year. So.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Hendrickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we have any input on those peak times? I know those peak times are pretty important. Is it a collaborative effort, or do they just decide it?
They look at it from their wholesale sales of power to the members or to the utilities that are a membership of that. You know, their staff puts it together. They put it as a recommendation to the Missouri River Board, which I sit on that board as well too. So we do have some input. You know, as a board member, I do. The commission probably has less of that, but we would engage you guys and make sure you're up to speed on that. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
One other thing, last week we did have strategic planning with the Missouri River Board, so that was some good information we talked about there. We talked about integrated resource planning. We talked about bright energy choices and several other customer and membership type items as well too, whether it's NERC compliance services or distribution resource services, or line crews in the communities. I think they've got 14 member communities right now that Missouri River has all the line work. The line workers are employees of Missouri River, and they're contracted out to the membership. So they're talking about several other items and then looking at future needs as well too. So it was good conversations last week on that, and again, it'll be interesting moving forward with how things change in the energy industry. And the integrated resource planning, you know, what they're looking at for their portfolio going forward is going to be interesting, with continued retirement of coal generation or thermal generation, and what's going to be coming up on the back end of that too. So they're looking at options and trying to figure out what's the best for the membership. So.
Okay,
Madam Chair, if I could
Yes,
ask a
please.
follow-up question to
Go ahead.
Travis.
go ahead.
You know, at the discussion at the federal level is potentially providing an immense amount of resources for clean energy and those sorts of things. Is that something Missouri River is looking at for power generation and utilizing potential federal funding?
They did receive some funding as they're working on that Gregory County storage project. They've got some federal dollars there. You know, I don't know if they've talked much more than that. They are looking at how to handle wind generation, battery storage. They're looking at all different types of options to install and having as options for their portfolio. So they're trying to get a grasp on it. A lot of, you know, the battery storage stuff is newer technology and trying to figure out how that best is going to fit within that group. You know, whether they put it next to solar panels, they put it next to some wind generation. You know, they're trying to fit it into that area. So they are looking at some other things as well, some small nuclear options as well. But again, you know, everybody's trying to figure out what that looks like as you get rid of some of this baseline generation resources and how that fits into what we've got going on with the capacity constraints and the Midwest Independent System Operator and Southwest Power Pool stuff that we've got continually going on. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Entertain a motion to accept the general manager's report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, item number 8. Electrical materials.
Sure. I'm going to have Taylor come up and speak to this. I'll start it off. We're starting early, and a lot of that is due to the supply chain issues we're seeing, and we've been seeing for the last year and a half or so, and it's not looking much better. So I'm going to let Taylor kind of speak to this and talk about what our game plan is internally, and let you go from there. Go ahead, Taylor.
Good evening. This is an annual bid that supplies Moorhead Public Service with transformers, wire, and switches that are necessary for new construction and maintenance of the electric distribution system. Travis said, due to the supply chains that we're currently experiencing, we're requesting to go out for bid much earlier than we have in the past. An example of what we're dealing with is that we don't expect to receive some of the transformers on this bid until 2024, possibly after the construction season is already completed. We've adjusted our construction and maintenance strategies as a result of these lengthy lead times. Last year, due to the increase in pricing, we only awarded bids for the materials that were absolutely necessary. Up until that point in time, we had budgeted to build our inventory up to handle times like these. But due to that, this year we've been drawing down on that inventory. We've been able to weather the storm so far, but there's no end in sight. Therefore, it is important that we order materials to ensure that we are able to provide reliable electricity to the city of Moorhead. One thing that may stand out is the sticker shock of the estimated cost. This estimate is much higher than we have experienced in the past because we're expecting prices to be higher than we've seen ever before. By going out for bids, we're not committing to purchasing the entire list of materials. Staff will review the bids and recommend awarding the materials in a manner that is responsible financially and for the good of the utility, similar to what we had to do last year. Please note that we're scheduled to award the bids prior to the budget planning season and prior to the 2023 budget being approved. Along with that, since we're expecting not to receive much of the materials until 2024, those materials will not be paid for until 2024. Budgets for 2023 and 2024 are likely to have to be adjusted as a result of the numbers that we receive based on these bids. But that is more of a discussion for when we take the awarding agenda item to you guys. Does anybody have any questions on the electric materials bid?
Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is the supply chain, is it getting worse? I can ask that to Commissioner Paulson too, because he's dealing with the diversion authority, but there's no end in sight?
Well,
I can answer that if you want.
Go ahead.
Or- So, yeah, we're not seeing an end in sight, both water and electric as well too. we're seeing some price adjustments on the commodity side, so some of that is coming down. So we could maybe see some lead times on the wire side of things, and even pricing be a little bit better than what we had a couple months ago. However, I think the transformers is where it gets a little sticky. There's components that are coming from overseas that we're not getting in a timely fashion. There's some adjustments on making EV chargers over transformers, and there's a few other things that are tying into that, but a lot of it's tied to the components piece of the transformers. So I think long term, we could see transformers still have a long lead time until there's a catch up. We're all kind of seeing a potential recession coming, and that could help a little bit, but it's going to be interesting for the next few years.
Okay, thanks.
I could add to that as well.
Oh, go ahead.
Generally, we used to see the standard transformer that's found in your neighborhoods about a 12 to 16 week lead time. Now we're seeing it at about 100 weeks. So it's hard to estimate that we would actually catch up within those 100 weeks. It'd probably be some period of time after those 100 weeks before they start going down.
And I like the fact that you're getting out there early, because I'm sure other cities or other power companies are looking for the same thing. So I appreciate you guys getting out early for that. So thanks.
Joel, did you want to add to Chuck's question at all?
Yeah, so Councilmember Hendrickson, from the Diversion Authority's perspective, inflation's here to stay for the next few years. And so we're taking a proactive approach, much like is being proposed here at MPS, of procuring materials that aren't needed for 2 years at the present time in anticipation of delays. And we're seeing a lot of it related to not necessarily just material supply chain issues, but also workforce issues at the manufacturing plants, and just the ability to get the material out. And a lot of that has been post-pandemic induced, and should catch up over the course of a number of years. But this is not going to correct overnight by any means, and we're expecting a long haul until the industries stabilize and get back to normal, or what a new normal would be. Personally, I don't think we'll ever go back to pre-pandemic pricing on things. I think some of that's here to stay, just from the inflation that was induced by the pandemic itself.
Be patient is what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be patient and be proactive.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Anything else for Taylor? No questions? Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion then to approve the bid for electrical equipment, or excuse me,
moved.
materials.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion by Daley, seconded by Paulson, to approve the specifications and authorize advertisements for bids for 2023 electrical materials. Discussion? Seeing none. Paulson?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Daley?
Yes.
Thompson? And to item number 9,
Sure.
circuit breakers.
Yep. It's an electric division meeting tonight, so I'll have Matt come back up since he's running this project. Again, this is the specs for the circuit breakers for the big project we've got going at DOE. So Matt, go ahead.
Matt Marks, project engineer. So yes, this is for the reactor project and substation upgrades at Moorhead DOE TAP substation. So last month I came up and we advertised for bids for the reactors themselves. This month coming up for the circuit breakers. There's a total of 6 circuit breakers we will be that have been specified. 2 of those are to basically they're the on-off switch for the reactors to connect or disconnect those reactors from the grid. And then the other 4 are for reconfiguring the bus. This will allow us to better feed, protect, and do switching on the Moorhead, the WAPA, Western Area Power 230 kV line that comes to the Moorhead TAP substation and is stepped down with our transformers to the 115 kV that feeds the rest of the town. We're looking to to open bids on August 10th, and then the circuit breakers themselves are not expecting until July of 2023. Total cost for all 6 breakers, we're looking at $670,000. This is part of that overall project that is due to requests from the Southwest Power Pool, SPP, and so the SPP tariff will allow some cost recovery for Moorhead Public Service, looking at a 10 to 15 year time frame. Since all of this is part of the transmission system, that cost will then be paid back to us over that time frame. Any questions on these specifications or on the circuit breakers?
Thanks, Matt. Okay, entertain a motion for circuit breakers.
So moved.
I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Hendrickson, to approve specifications and authorize advertisements for bids for circuit breakers at Moorhead DOE substation, excuse me. Discussion? Seeing none. Paulson?
Aye.
Hendrickson?
Aye.
Daley?
Yes.
Thompson. And item number 10.
Yep, I'll be bringing Matt back up again. So this is for the temporary transformer that we're working on getting installed at the substation until the new one shows up. I'll let Matt talk about the change order and what we're asking for. Go ahead, Matt.
Sure. So originally, this temporary transformer, we were planning to have it shipped, installed in May of this year. However, as we waited for the snow to melt, and then the snow did melt, the ground was soaking wet out there at the substation as well as in the rest of Moorhead, and it continued to stay wet. So the process of getting this transformer in, part of which included getting the old transformer out of there, had to wait until the ground was dry enough to get the heavy equipment on site to pull that transformer out and then to bring this one in. Because of that delay, the original company that was going to do the actual transportation of that transformer was no longer available to meet the new delivery date as well as the price they had initially quoted. As we all know, the gas prices have skyrocketed since the original time of the bid, just as well as the availability of contractors. So due to that, it was an additional $45,000 for the new contractor. Their cost for transporting that transformer was $45,000 higher, so it brought the original contract price from $730,000 up to $775,000. So the change order that is attached to the packet is for that difference, as well as the new delivery time frame of the end of this month here. Any questions?
That hurts.
Yeah.
Paulson?
I would probably, just for my curiosity, where is this transformer coming from?
It's Velva, North Dakota.
Okay, and it
So
still
it is-
costs that much to bring it from Velva to Moorhead?
Yeah, it's the transportation as well. It's a very large piece of equipment, so the trucking as well as everything else that's involved in getting that, probably some overhead costs, insurance costs, all those sort of things that the subcontractor needs. So
Sure.
Any other questions? Thanks, Matt. Okay, entertain a motion to approve item number 10, temporary transformer change order.
So moved.
Okay, have a motion by Daley, second.
Second.
Second by Paulson, to approve the change order for the transformer, temporary transformer. Any more discussion?
Chair?
Yes?
Matt, you want to come back up for a second? Now, again, this is an insurance claim, so Matt, can you remind them on the insurance side of this? Is this something that's going to be covered as part of that cost?
yeah, we had included our estimates for the temporary transformer in the claim that we made, just since this is kind of covering us as we wait. We haven't been given a firm answer on whether the entirety of these costs are covered by insurance. However, we did talk to Missouri River Energy, and since this transformer is part of our transmission system, it won't be reimbursed or covered the same way that the other parts of the project down at that substation will be, but there's the potential for some cost recovery as well on this temporary transformer.
Great.
Should be, again, minimal cost based on insurance or that, but we will have a transformer until the new one shows up, which will help with some redundancy and reliability needs as well too. So specifically with the diversion project going on.
Yeah.
So,
What's-
sorry, Joel.
What's the timetable? When were you expecting this, 2024? Or?
This transformer will be here at the end of the month
Oh, I
or
mean
beginning
the
of
other
August.
one.
The new one.
Permanent
Matt?
replacement is summer of 2023.
Oh, okay.
Potentially shifted based on the rest of that project, just to kind of get everything lined up and working together. But what we're looking at now is summer of 2023 for the brand new one.
Like right around the corner then.
Right.
Compared to the rest of the
Sooner than
stuff.
we
Right, that's
anticipated for
exactly
the
right.
new one, yeah. And
Any-
this this temporary transformer would then be, we would be able to keep that on hand as a spare
Right.
for our other 230 to 115 transformer after the new one's put in place.
Great. Thank you. I think that's it. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. Made sure of that, right, Cheryl? Okay, Hendrickson,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Daley,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, no executive session this evening,
Nope.
so I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hendrickson, seconded by Daley to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you for coming. Have a nice day.